This is Matt for Into Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by Matthew Hatton. Matt, we've just seen Campbell and Luke Evans do a bit of a ferocious work. Are you pleased with them two and how they're coming along?
Both very pleased. In particular with the last fights for both. Luke Evans was tremendous in his last fight. 2 years out of the ring, he'd not been away. But Luke's one of them fighters who's got a lot of ability, a lot of talent. He sparred for the first time the other day, and again, he'd had a period out of the ring. You wouldn't have guessed it. And Luke's always, people probably don't know Luke, but if you live round here, if you're from the northwest, you certainly know what a talent he is. Very skillful fighter, very hard to hit. And we just tried to get a bit more of a ruthless streak in him, and that was certainly evident in his last fight. His first stoppage win, and it was a brutal one. And as for Campbell was excellent in his last fight. It's been frustrating for Campbell, and me as his coach, he's been showing big improvements in the gym, but we haven't been seeing it in the ring. There's been far too much pressure put on his shoulders. We took a little bit of the pressure off last time, and we saw a little bit of what he can do. Not going to get carried away. The opponent was what it was, but it was just the way he went about the job, and he did some really good stuff in there. So we're looking to see that progression again in his next fight.
Yeah, we've just touched on that with Campbell, and we talked about, obviously, at the start of his career, he's different from a lot of novice fighters. He's obviously got yourself and Ricky, obviously, who's been there and done it professionally already. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He was at Dillian White for his first big fight. He's been AJ for the Stadium. Was it nice to sort of take the pressure off and release a bit of that energy in Spain, where there wasn't all the media attention on the fights, to try and get the best out of him?
Absolutely, and I sat that Campbell down before the fight and told him, there's no pressure here, Campbell. It's a big arena, it was a good venue, it was a good bill, but there was no pressure on Campbell, and you always get great training out of Campbell, you always get 100% out of him. But I sat him down the day before, and he had to apply himself properly, concentrate on what he was doing, and we saw a big difference. I remember walking to the ring and I was talking Henry from 258. I could tell just in his demeanour beforehand, the way he warmed up and everything like that as he was in the change room. I said, you'll see a different side of Campbell tonight, and that's what we did.
What's the biggest improvement you've seen in Campbell from obviously first fight to now? He's talked a bit about what he's learnt outside of the ring in terms of criticism and stuff with technique, about not maybe rushing and not just looking to knock somebody out. What's your thing as the trainer? What have you seen in him that's been the biggest improvement? Well,
I've been saying this, and we haven't been seeing it. He's making massive improvements, really, as fighters he sparred with, say 12 months ago, he's been sparring with recently. He's improving his all-round game. Yeah, his patience is getting better, his defence, his all-round game in general is getting much, much better, and I think we're going to see big improvements now. So there isn't one thing in particular, just like I've touched on there, I know I'm repeating myself, his all-round game's got much better, but I think over the last year or so, it's more out of the ring where Campbell's improved as well.
I mentioned that because obviously he's a young lad, and he's obviously got that background we just mentioned of yourself and Ricky, etc. So there's pressure there already. And I sort of said to him, he seems to cop for it a bit in terms of the shows he's been on. And I said to him, it's almost like you have to apologise for accepting it as if other people wouldn't. Do you think he's almost in a no-win situation there, where obviously if Joshua's fighting, he's not going to say no to fighting on a Joshua undercard? Do you think he's in a no-win situation with that?
Of course not. There's been mistakes made, and I've had my professional licence now for 21 years, and some mistakes have been made, and it's been pretty obvious to me that they've been made. So I'm a bit more forthright with my own opinions now and stuff like that. There has been some mistakes made, but everyone's learned. We're all learning every day, and Campbell's been on some big shows. I think nobody's going to turn down an opportunity to fight on the Joshua card, in a huge stadium. It's a life experience for Campbell, but where he was placed on the card, was a mistake. It was obvious that was a mistake. Who that was down to, not too sure, but that's in the past. It's in the past. Again, it will stand him in good stead for the future. He come through, he won the fight, and on we go, and we learn from it.
Yeah, we said that. Obviously, when you look at what he wants to achieve, and obviously every fighter you assume wants to be a world champion, wants to perform at the highest level, the biggest stages. So you're thinking if his career goes to plan, as he's hoping, as you're hoping, that when he does get that chance at a world title or even British, whatever route you go down, that he'll almost be accustomed to the big stage, the media, and that whole week.
Absolutely, everything for a reason, and he come away, he's 5 fights undefeated, and even though it wasn't a great experience for Campbell on the night, he will definitely learn from that experience. It will make him stronger. And like you touched on before, you're always going to get these idiots on social media, but like I say to Campbell, for every idiot you get, Campbell's got a great following, got a great fan base. People are dying to get behind Campbell, and he just needs to show what he can do in the ring. For every idiot out there who's saying this, that and the other on Twitter, there's 50, 60, 70, hundreds of people wanting Campbell to do really well. So he's got to focus on that.
Yeah, I've had that same conversation yesterday with Maxie Hughes, and he said he was looking through all his comments when he won the IBO title, and he said that there was about 100 positive, there was 1 negative, and he immediately wanting to fire back. And I think he said his missus just said, look, don't give that idiot the time of day kind of thing. Moving on, one of your old opponents, Kell Brook, he goes against Amir in the next few weeks. A lot of people saying it would have been a different fight a few years ago. How do you see that fight right now?
It's a great fight, and both fighters are slightly past the best, but both fighters are still very, very good fighters. Again, that's a fight I've always fancied Kell Brook to win. A lot's happened in the last few years, some damaging defeats for both men, in particular Kell. But I think it's still such an intriguing fight. We live nothing more than a genuine grudge match, and this is certainly that. I have always fancied Kell Brook to win the fight, so I'm not going to change my mind at this late stage. I think it's getting a closer fight. I think the weight will suit Amir slightly. I think Kell's going to find it very difficult. I know there's a rehydration clause.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be given back if he's even a pound over. So
yeah, so again, that is going to favour Amir. But again, I'm not someone who sits on the fence. I think it's one of those fights where Amir may be winning the fight, putting the rounds in the bank, but I do think Kell will catch him and knock him out.
When looking back at your experience, I was at that fight, yourself and Kell. What do you remember of that sort of build-up? It was built as almost like a bit of a grudge match in itself. There was a raucous atmosphere. What do you remember of that and that whole sort of fight week?
Oh, it was a great, because we still love a big domestic clash, won't we? And that was a big domestic clash at the time. I wouldn't say a grudge match, War of the Roses it was billed as. But it was a great build-up, a lot of interest in that fight. Of my regrets in boxing, that's probably my biggest, because I did always fancy that fight, and I thought Kell Brook suffered a broken nose in the first round. And I'd say in all my years in the ring, Canelo, broken jaws, I've had lots of different injuries. That was the most pain I'd ever been in the ring. Incredible amount of pain, broken nose in first round. And I just remember after 5 or 6, I just wanted the fight to be over. But I would never quit. I never quit at anything I do. But it was a painful, hard experience. Looking back, Kell Brook was a special fighter. Could he have beaten him? Probably not, but could I have given a better account of myself? Certainly could. Well, that's life, that's boxing.
Absolutely. Another one of your former opponents, pound for pound, probably now the best fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez. I'm
getting an headache just talking about it.
Is it strange looking back, because obviously when you fought him all them years ago, to see where he's gone to, and obviously where he's still looking to go? There's talks of him moving up to, cruiserweight and fighting Macabre, etc. Is there anyone right now you think in boxing that can give Canelo problems and have a fair crack at beating him?
Not around the weight he's currently fighting at. They're talking about move to cruiserweight and stuff like that. And I think for the weight he's boxing at, around super middle, there's nobody to touch him. I don't think there's anybody to touch him around the weights. I think the only way he gets beat if they are getting a bit greedy with the weight. Mm-hmm. But these top fighters, not only are they top fighters, they're top teams. They're clever people, they know what they're doing. I think you're going to see some brave jump up in weight, some brave matches. but they certainly know what they're doing. But around super middleweight, I don't think there's anyone to touch him. I really don't.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the minute, isn't it? Look, Matthew Hatton, thanks for talking to Into Boxing. Appreciate your time as always.
Anytime.
And yeah, we'll catch up hopefully around fight week.
Nice one. Thank you. Anytime.
No worries, bud.